Good evening, everybody. It is once again Ted, the Speed Learner. And you're probably sitting there going, where have I been? Well, that's kind of an interesting story. But before I go into where I have been, first of all, I wanted to let you guys know that it's been really hot around here. So I've been running the air conditioner constantly, and it's been just hotter than blue blazes. I'll tell you that. But the big question is, what happened to the parade? I was supposed to go to Blue Mound. I was supposed to be there at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. What happened? Well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. I got up at 7 o'clock in the morning, got all my stuff ready to go. I was set and ready to walk out that door. It had rained all night between Friday night and Saturday morning. It rained and rained and rained and rained and rained. So there was a lot of flash flooding. But that was not the big thing, okay? Because I watched the radar carefully, and between 7 and 9 o'clock, this thing had developed, to be sure. But it was starting to move off to the north. I thought, okay, well, if it's starting to move off to the north, then I could go south, and I'd be fine. Except that another line of showers had developed just south of Springfield, and it was headed for Blue Mound. And at 9:30 in the morning, I looked at that and I was like, okay, I don't know how far this thing's going to develop. Oh, excuse me for a minute. I have a friend in here. Okay. I did not know. Okay. You can leave now. Bye. Sorry about that. That was my adorable kitty Huntley interrupting my story there. I did not know that she had done that. I thought she was out of the room, but apparently not. So there we go. So she's out and she's off to wherever she wants to be. There you go. Anyway, let's get back to the story, shall we? So another line of storms had developed just south of Springfield about 9:30 in the morning. I thought, okay, this is going to come straight through. And all of a sudden, I was going to be in Blue Mound and caught in this storm, and I was going to have no way to videotape that parade. So I finally contacted him. I said, look, I would love to come videotape your parade, but it's not going to happen. Well, lo and behold, about 10:30 in the morning, the whole line just kind of dissipated and went away. Well, there was no way for me to know that. So I'm like, well, too bad. Anyway, the other thing is that I had to run some errands for my mother around noon. Guess what? I got caught in the rain anyway. So I had a great day for me. You say, well, okay, you said you're going to run a live stream. Why didn't you run it yesterday? About the time I was going to run it, at 6 o'clock, we had severe weather here. Oh, well, Roadrunner, thank you very much for letting us know about that. He says he loves this channel. I am thrilled he does, and I would love to hear more from him or her, whoever it is. I'm not sure who this is, but I'd love to hear from all of you, okay? But here is the thing. I was about to run the live stream, 6 o'clock at night. Severe weather came in. That shot the whole plan. I had to work today, so there was no way for me to stay up real late at night and just do the live stream. So here I am. Okay. All right. So why haven't been around? Well, the reason I haven't been around a lot is, number one, I needed to make notes for this live stream, which, by the way, I'm giving you a surprise tonight. I reviewed the first chapter of Danica McKellar's Hot X Algebra Exposed. You're going to get that tonight. You're in for a treat. There's a bunch of other things I'm going to be doing as well, so bear with me. Okay. But here's the thing. the main reason it has been so unbelievably hot around here, I can't tell you by how much. And even with the air conditioner, which I'm glad I have the air conditioner, it was just getting to the point where I could barely sleep at night, much less run a live stream. So that was out of the question. But the thing is that my YouTube ratings have dropped. You're like, well, wait, why are they dropping? I mean, you've put out so many videos. What's going on here? Well, I can explain some of this because I have been watching other content creators and I've been learning some more story about YouTube. And allegedly, YouTube has been, and I don't know, I know there's some people going after YouTube over this. I don't know if they actually did it or not. We'll have to, it's like we'll have to see eventually what really happens. But from what I was told, and I can't tell you whether it's all true or not, but the advertisers have been paying for ads to be played on YouTube, but YouTube or Google, because Google owns YouTube and Alphabet actually owns everything. So, you have Alphabet owning Google, which owns YouTube. Well, the whole YouTube ad thing is run from something called Google AdSense. Okay. And when these advertisers pay Google AdSense, they want their stuff to be run on YouTube. From what I understand, those commercials have been running on on platforms other than YouTube. They've been running on obscure websites, that kind of thing, and the advertisers are not really happy about this. I don't know how accurate that is. We'll find out. I mean, in the course of time, there'll be litigation, there'll be lawsuits, whatever. But I do know from what I've been told by other creators that YouTube has been placing a heavy emphasis on crowdfunding. They want people to crowdfund all over the place. Well, that'd be all fine and dandy if people had money. They don't. So that starts to create the problem. And now you can see what's going on. But anyway, so let's get into all this. One of the things I'm going to be doing on this YouTube channel is I'm going to be updating videos. You've already seen some of this. I updated my ISA video and my PCI video and my low pin count video. I have updated a few other videos as well. Oh, and Roadrunner says, someday can you do a video on nuclear weapon design and how nuclear weapons work? I might just do that, but not right now. And I'll tell you the reason why, because I want to update my videos. A lot of people have come to me and said, well, your videos originally were low resolution. We're having a hard time watching them, whatever. Fine. I'll update those videos, okay? You even saw that with the bra videos. Did you notice that? Those bra videos have been updated, okay? There are other videos that are going to be updated. I'm going to do a few more tonight, and I'm going to update the videos I did before with higher resolution so you guys can actually see. I'd like to do all the Euclid Elements videos because most of them were done with just simple old graph paper, which I now have. Now I'm going to have to get some bigger graph paper for the ones in book 11 and book 12 and book 13. But you're going to see this. And we're going to update all these videos. And I'm going to represent them to you clearer, fresher, and not just to do them over, but to add extra stuff to them. I think you've noticed that as well. So that's one of the things I'm going to do. Once those updates are done, and a lot of them are not going to take very long. I guarantee you. You'll see that tonight. Then we're going to get to the more lengthy topics and whatever. I'm hoping to finally finish my presentation of the Bezier curve. We'll get into that. But there'll be a lot of stuff done. So please bear with me. Tonight we're going to update the how to count change video. I've done it twice. Did it back in 2012, did it in 2016. Now we're going to do it in 2023. And the main reason we're going to be doing this is because it needs to be in higher resolution. That's why. Now that I have a higher speed internet and I also have better camera equipment, we can do that. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. And I will tell you things in these videos. It's going to take you by complete surprise. I really am. You're like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know this. We're going to talk about it. All right. We're going to begin with how to count change. And there is a reason I'm going to cover this. All right. All right. Okay, let's see how well I do this. I'm going to say that over the course of the fall, the winter, we're going to update a lot of videos, adding extra information, adding extra details to them, and then finally we're going to get into some of the more intricate stuff that you guys all really want to see. So I am not done with this yet. All right. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted, the Speed Learner, and tonight we are going to cover the topic. Yeah, that did not go well. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted, the Speed Learner, and tonight we are going to cover the topic of how to count change. And I know the first question that a lot of you guys are going to ask me, and the first question is, well, didn't you do a video like this a long time ago? Yes, I did. I did a video about this in 2012. I did a video about this in 2016. Unfortunately, both of those are in a lower resolution, and that's because I did not have the internet the way I needed it to be back in those days. I also did not have the camera equipment that I had to have to make the presentation like I'm going to do tonight. I also did not have near as fast of a computer either. There was a lot of things I didn't have back then that I do now. So we're going to do it one more time, and hopefully this time will be the last time we'll ever have to do this. Now, first question is, why do any of us need to know how to count change? Well, let me explain this to you. Number one, have you noticed the cash registers recently? We're talking about grocery stores, department stores, fast food places. Have you noticed? If you didn't, I'm going to explain it to you. They have taken photographs of money like this, okay? They have taken photographs of it, and what they have done is they made little, I wouldn't call them tags, I would call them little icons, I guess you would call them that. And when you're trying to let the register know what you have received from the customer, say you received a $1 bill from the customer, what you do is you hit the little icon on the screen. And if you receive 3 $1 bills, you'd press the icon 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. This is what they've been doing, okay? It is a part of the Common Core method. That's what they have done. They got an image of a $20 bill, a $10 bill, a $5 bill, a $1 bill, and in some places even a $50 bill. And if you have those rare occasions where you work in a fancy clothing store, you'll even have a $100 bill image on the screen. And you just press it. If you have one $100 bill, press the $100 bill. If you were given, say, 2 of them, you'd press it twice, so on and so forth. But there is another reason why you should learn to count change, and that is because our society is going towards something called FedNow. I'm sure you guys have heard of Bitcoin. Well, FedNow is a version of Bitcoin, except that this is a U.S. government-run system that they've got. And there have been a lot of people that don't want to use paper money like they've been using, okay? I'm not one of them. I like paper money. I really do. But they want to use FedNow. Well, the thing is, you're going to have these 2 groups of people. One group wants to use the credit cards and the Bitcoin and the whole 9 yards, and that's all they want to use. Then you have the other group that still wants to use solid cash. That group is my group, okay? And so therefore, because you have those differences, for at least a little while longer, companies are still going to have to cater to people who still want to use the cash. They want to use the vending machines. They want to use it at the stores. They want to go to the car garage and pay cash that way, so on and so forth. And for those of us who are still going to stick to cash, you still got to know. And besides, do you want to offer your credit card to somebody that mows your yard? Really? Anyway. But then you have something called the supplemental nutrition. Let me look it up here real quick. I think it's called the Supplemental Nutrition Aid Program. If I got the name wrong, I apologize. Okay, sorry. It's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Okay, let me say that again. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. For a lot of you, you only know it as SNAP. You've heard of this, okay? And then they have this thing called the Women, Infant, and Children thing, and it's a supplemental government program for people raising children, okay? So they have that. But not everybody wants to participate in that either. But they have these programs, and a lot of people have gotten used to them. And so they are no longer used to using cash. They're using that instead. And I'm going to get into those in future videos. I'm going to tell you exactly what's in those programs and what to expect out of them. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to read you exactly what's in these laws so you know what you're dealing with. Okay? But anyway, for those of us who still want to use cash, and believe me, if you met an Amish farmer, he wants to use cash. He has no interest in using credit cards. Ask the Amish, they'll tell you. So, there you go. All right, so we're just going to briefly go over how to use cash, all right? Now, let's say, now you got to keep in mind, when I was a kid, when you bought shirts, even nice shirts, you could probably get them for about $15. Today, good luck with that. But anyway, let's say we were back when I was a kid, and you wanted to buy a nice shirt, and let's say that the shirt was $15.50. $15.50. Okay. Now let's suppose that the guy gave you a $20 bill. All right. So how much change are you going to give back to this guy? What you're going to do is you're going to add coins and paper bills to this until you get to the total of 20. Let me explain. All right, so we got $15.50, right? So the first thing you got to hand the guy is a quarter. All right, so that's $15.75. Now you're going to hand him another quarter, and that's 16. Now you're going to hand him 4 ones. 1, 2, 3, and 4. But when you hand them to him, you're not going to say 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to say You handing this, turns out to be 16, then you say 17, 18, 19, and 20. That way he knows he has gotten the change back from the $20 bill that he gave to you. All right. Now then, let's say you bought a half gallon of ice cream at a grocery store. Okay. Now the ice cream cost you, this half gallon ice cream cost you $6.30. Okay. $6.30. Now then, the guy gives you a $10 bill. Okay. Guy gives you a $10 bill. He wants to pay $6.30. All right. So, how are you going to give him his change back? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to give him 2 dimes. $6.40, $6.50. Now you're going to give him 2 quarters. $6.75 and 7. Now you're up to 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how you count change back. All right. We're going to do it just one more time. All right. Now, let's suppose that let's suppose you are buying an SD media card, and for some reason they mark down the card. Okay. And let's say that the card is going to cost you how about $12.65. So the SD media card costs you $12.65. Guy gives you $20 bill. What's his change? Okay. Well, we're going to start off with a dime. So you say $12.65. Now you give him the dime and you say $12.75. 13, because this is a quarter now. Okay, so you're giving him a quarter on top of it. 14, 15, and now you're going to give him a $5 bill, and there's 20. All right. Now then, now that you kind of got the idea of how this actually works, I'd like to see you guys in the comment section below give me various totals that you want me to then show on air how to count it back. Okay, you give me a scenario, and you want me to count the change back, and I will do a supplemental video where once again I'll come up here, I'll get my change out, and I'll show you how to make change back if somebody pays you a certain amount of money. So you give me some real challenges. I'd like to see what you come up with. In the meantime, I do have 5 Kindle books, and you are more than welcome to read each and every one of them, and I'd like to see what you have to say about them. And at the end of this video, I'm going to have a couple of links, and you'll see them right here at the end of the video. And one of them will take you to the upside down credit card. The other one will take you to the tap card and how to properly use that, so that you guys can see other videos that are kind of related to this one. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. What'd you guys think? Okay. Now, if you'll excuse me for just a second, I'll put some of this money away so I don't lose it. There we go. Kind of cool, huh? All right. Okay. Sorry I had to interrupt for a second, but I actually had to pull something up, and I'll show you why in just a second. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and I'm kind of losing it here. I drew a blank for a second. Forgot what I was doing. We'll try that again. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a video series on how to. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a video series on how to write in cursive. And you're probably going to sit there and go, why would we even need to know how to write in cursive? Well, I'm going to answer that question in just a moment. But first, I want to ask you this. Can you imagine writing text using ancient Roman letters or even ancient Greek letters? Oh, you're going to find that out in a little bit. Just try to print text using just the 26 letters of our current English alphabet. Once you try to write some text with an ink pen using ink, and there it goes. We're going to try that again. God. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight we're going to start a video series on how to write in cursive. And there are some good reasons for this. And the first one is this. Think about this for a second. Did William Shakespeare write in Roman letters, Greek letters, or even in our plain English alphabet in, when you print the text instead of doing cursive? Of course not. Think about the Declaration of Independence or the United States Constitution. Weren't both of those written in cursive? Of course they were. How are you going to read them if you don't know anything about cursive? But there's better reasons than that to learn about cursive. And I'm going to tell you about this. Can you imagine writing text all the time using ancient Roman letters or even ancient Greek letters, or trying to print in some script that you saw on the internet? Really? You don't want to type all the time. Just try to print text using the 26 letters of our current English alphabet. Print all the time. See what happens. Now, let me tell you something. When you try to make out checks, okay, you're trying to pay a bill with a check, you have to write in cursive. Did you know that? Oh, yeah. Once you try to write some text with an ink pen using printed English letters, you will see real quickly the need to learn cursive. A lot of your ancient documents, as I stated before, are written in cursive. And I've given you several examples of this. So if you're going to be able to read those ancient texts, you need to know cursive. Keep in mind that shortly after the printing press was created using copper plates, then textbooks were quickly printed. Kids could trace cursive letters using quill pens on the pages of these textbooks. That's how they learned cursive. You're going to learn cursive a little harder my way, but there are websites that will show you how to do this, okay? But we're going to go through it step by step. One of the pioneers of cursive was a man by the name of Platt Roger Spencer. You can look that up for yourself. He wanted to create an easier and more uniform version of cursive. So he developed a style of cursive that governments and many corporations at the time quickly adopted. But the main problem with the Platt Roger Spencer's cursive is how long it took people to master his cursive skill and how long it took people to write text using this skill. But let me introduce you to yet another person. This person is Austin Norman Palmer. He was another cursive pioneer. His method of cursive was easier to learn and easy to use. But there are two other cursive pioneers I will mention in this particular video. The first one is Charles Paxton Zanner, and the second one is Elmer Ward Blauser. They worked together to create a style of cursive that was easier to learn than the one Norman Palmer created. Okay? It's this Zanner-Blauser method I will use in these particular videos. If you want to know more about this cursive, I have an article. You can take a look right down here in the description below, and you will see a hyperlink that will take you to an article that'll teach you a little bit more about this. All right. Now, at this point, I'm going to take a moment to show you how to make the letter A using the Zanner-Blauser method. Okay? Now then, what you're going to do is you're going to do this. It's like an oval, okay? And then you have a curly Q, okay? And this curly Q would join up with another letter of the word, okay? That's the capital letter A. Now, the lowercase a is basically the same thing. It's just smaller. And that's how you draw the letter A. In my upcoming videos, I'm going to show you how to draw each and every one of these letters. And the thing is that I'm actually going to show you how to draw the letters together. Okay. All right. I also wanted to let you know that I have 5 Kindle books that you can read right now. If you want links to any of these Kindle books, you just let me know and I'll send you a link to any of these Kindle books. And at the end of this video, which you've now approached the end, you will see links, okay? You'll see the little boxes that will show you how to get to the next video in this video series. All right? So I want to thank you very much for tuning in. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. All right. Well, thank you very much for the compliment, Roadrunner. You thought my video was very, very good. That's fantastic. I'm hoping you guys are learning something here because I really wanted to teach. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and erase this real quick. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to continue my series on writing in cursive by showing you how to write the letter B, both uppercase and lowercase. Okay, and then I'm going to show you a quick example of how to join the letters together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, before I do, I wanted to let you know that I have published 5 Kindle books. If you're interested in reading any of those, let me know in the comments below, and I'll send you links to those. Furthermore, at the end of this video, you will see links to other videos in this video series. Okay, so let's get into this, shall we? Now then, how do you draw the uppercase letter B in cursive? Well, you draw a line up like this, down like this, and then you have this, and you have this. And if you want to get real fancy, you could do that. Okay, so what you're doing is you're drawing like a piece of a triangle right here. You know, I don't want to call it a curved line. It's more like a diagonal line. That's what I'm looking for, is the word diagonal. Okay, so you're drawing a diagonal line here. You're drawing a line straight down. You're drawing these 2 little ovals, and if you want to get fancy, you could do that. And this would actually join your letter together. Okay? Now, if you don't want to get that fancy, you don't have to. Now, what about a lowercase letter B? What you're going to do is you're going to go up. It's like a loop, okay? And I didn't really draw this very well. Let me draw this better. Have you ever tried to thread a needle? Same concept. So what you're going to do is you're going to go like this and like that. And this is where you would join the letters together. Okay? Now, since we only have 2 letters of the alphabet so far, now keep in mind that B is a consonant and A is a vowel. Okay, so we're going to draw the letters B-A together. Now you could do this, but I'm not. Okay, and then what you do, okay, and you don't even have to draw that little piece right there. You could actually just, I do that. It's kind of sloppy, but you could just like that. There's your B and your A. And then if you wanted to go with the lowercase b, like that. There's your BA. Okay. And that's how you draw the letter B in cursive. All right, as I promised, here we are at the end of the video. There are 2 little boxes that have now appeared on your screen. They will show you how to find the other videos in this video series. And I hope you check them out. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to show you how to draw the letter C, which is a consonant, in cursive. But before I do, I wanted to let everyone know here that I have published 5 Kindle books, and if you want a link to any of those, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to send you those links. Furthermore, I wanted to let you guys know that there are 2 ways a YouTube video becomes more popular. I know you've heard a lot of other people tell you a lot of other things, but I have done the research. I have done the work. Likes don't do it, and the subscribe button doesn't do it. I'll tell you the two things that do. One, leaving me legitimate comments in the comments section below, or watching my video all the way from front to back. That makes it more popular. So if you really want to make this video popular, watch it all the way through and leave me a pleasant comment in the comment section below. Okay, it's time to teach you how to make the letter C. Now, if we're going to go by the official method, what we want to do is we make a little curly Q and that. Okay, so what you're going to do is make a little curly Q and this. Now, if you don't want to go that fancy, which you don't have to, you could just, now this would be the capital letter C. You could do that. And then you join your letters with this. Okay. Now, what about the lowercase c? Well, it's just pretty much the same, just smaller. That's all it is. All right. Let's say we wanted to write the word cab. Okay, you know what a taxi cab is. So what we could do, if you want to do it official, you could do that. But if you wanted to go a little unofficial, you don't have to make the curly Q. Well, if you wanted to write the words in the lowercase, well, you just do. Oh, hang on. That did not go as well. Let's try it again. Just like that. And that's how you do it. All right. So now you know how to make the lowercase, the uppercase and lowercase letter C in cursive. All right, and as I promised, there will be 2 boxes here that will show you how to go to the next video in this video series. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to continue my video series on how to write in cursive with the uppercase and the lowercase letter D. But before I do, I wanted to let you guys know that I have published 5 Kindle books, and if you need links to any of those Kindle books, you leave a request down here in the comment section below, and I will send you links to those Kindle books. Furthermore, I wanted to let you guys know that at the end of this video, there'll be 2 little boxes that'll appear, and one box will show you the next video in this video series. The other box will show you yet another video in this video series, and you can click those and you can continue on with that. Furthermore, if you want to popularize this video, there are 2 ways you can do it. 1, leave me a pleasant comment in the comment section below. 2, you can watch this video all the way through and get its watch time to go up, because I have come from learned sources that tell me that that's the 2 ways you really make a YouTube video very popular. Okay, so having said all that, let's get into this, shall we? How do we make the uppercase and the lowercase d? All right, now if you want to go by the official method, what you do is draw a straight line down like this, make a curly Q, come up like this, and make a curly Q up there. You don't have to get that fancy if you don't want to. I do. I don't. But if you wanted to, that's the official way. If you wanted to, you could just do it like that. You don't have to put the curly Q up on top. That's up to you. Okay. Now, what about the letter D in lowercase? Well, you can do that. And if you didn't want to put that line right there, you don't have to. You could, but you don't have to. Okay? Now, Let's say you wanted to write a word using the 4 letters we've shown you so far. Well, let's try this. Now I'm not gonna be quite so fancy, but you can do it. You can do it fancy if you want. Or no, that's not even right. Let's do it right, okay? You can do up like this, down, okay? And then you would just do there you go. Bad. Or if you want to do it all lowercase, you could just do something like this. And again, you don't have to put that right there. And there you go. Okay. And if you wanted to go, all official, you could do that too. You could make it up like that. But that's how you write in cursive. I'm a bit sloppy about stuff like this, but if you want to do it an official way, you could. But if you want to do a slight variation, it's not going to really make that much of a difference. They can still read it anyway. All right. And as I promised, we are at the end of the video. You're probably seeing 2 boxes up on the screen. One will take you to one video in this series. Another one will take you to the other one. All right. I will tell you more in a future video. So I'd like for you to stay tuned. How are we doing so far? Okay. All right. Now, if you'll excuse me for just a moment, we're going to take a brief break. I kind of forgot. I shouldn't have forgotten, but I kind of forgot to get my change out here. I'm kind of glad I did because I didn't want to ruin it by accidentally giving my money away. And there is a reason that I'm saying all this. You see, I have a full set of bicentennial coins from 1976. I'm going to show you those in just a moment. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a video series to show you guys the history of the quarter, the dime, the nickel, and the penny. But before I begin, I wanted to let you guys know that I have written 5 Kindle books. If you want to read any of those, leave me a comment down here in the comment section below, and I'll send you a link to those. Furthermore, if you want to popularize this video or any others that I have, then what you would like to do is to actually leave me either a very nice comment in the comment section below, or watch this video all the way through. Don't just watch just a little bit of it. Watch the whole thing. And the more watch time this video gets, the more likely people will actually see it. So if you really want to support my channel, that's the way to do it. All righty. Now, let's go ahead. In this particular video, we're going to talk about the history of the quarter. But I'm going to show you, I have coins that are from the year 1976. Now, that year was the bicentennial of the United States, okay? Now, if I recall correctly, this is an authentic 1976 coin. And if you take a look on the back here, I'm going to have to get it up like that. That's what it looks like. Okay, can you see that? All right. Now, that's the dollar coin. You can always tell if these are the bicentennial coins because the dollar coin will have a picture of the moon and the Liberty Bell on the back. Okay. And if I recall correctly, this is a portrait. It's like a headshot of John F. Kennedy on the front. If I'm wrong about that, you could go ahead and leave me a comment down below and I will correct myself. It could be Eisenhower. I'm not really sure. I forgot to look that up. You are more than welcome to do that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm wrong on that. I think this is Eisenhower here. And this one, I'm almost sure is John F. Kennedy. This is the $50. I'm going to go ahead and show this to you. This is the $50, and I'm pretty sure that's John F. Kennedy on the $50. And on the back of it, you can see that right there. That happens to be Independence Hall. Okay, so that's the $50 for the bicentennial. Now the quarter has a headshot of George Washington. See that right there. And you know that this is the bicentennial quarter because you'll see a colonial soldier on the back. Okay, this would be one of our soldiers from 1776. Okay, and of course it has E pluribus unum on the back. And there you go. The dime has Franklin Delano Roosevelt's face on it, and it has some other symbols on the back, and I'm going to tell you about that in another video. Okay, so as you go through this video series, you can see that as well. Here's the nickel. Thomas Jefferson's face is on the front, and on the back here, you have this place called Monticello. It's not Monticello, Illinois. It's Monticello. Okay, this would be in Washington, D.C. And we have the 1976 penny. You can see Abraham Lincoln's face on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. And I'm going to tell you about all this, starting with the quarter. Now, I'm not going to go into the $50 or the dollar. If you want me to do that at some point, leave me some nice comments and I'll do that. Now, keep in mind that other videos in this video series, there'll be boxes that'll appear at the end of the video, and you can click those. You can go to the next one. All right. Now, the first one is the quarter. The United States started producing coins in 1793, but they didn't start producing quarters until 3 years later. The first quarters featured it's called a bust. Okay, if you have a headshot thing, you have a bust of Miss Liberty on the front and the United States eagle on the back. The eagle has a wreath over his head. These first quarters were made of pure silver. Okay, Now, I hate to say it, but the 76 quarters were not made of pure silver, but the older ones were. Now, the design of the quarter changed in 1815. Now, Lady Liberty was seated on the front of the coin, and the design of the United States Eagle was also changed. Okay. President George Washington's face didn't appear on the quarter until 1932. His face was supposed to celebrate his bicentennial birthday. And you can learn about the quarter. They have a hyperlink in the description of this video, and you can click that. You can learn more about the quarter there. Okay? All right. I wish to thank you very much for watching this video. You're probably seeing now some boxes. Go ahead and click those, and it'll take you to videos in this series. All right? Thank you for watching. I will tell you more in future videos. I'd like for you to stay tuned. How are we doing so far, everybody? I see 2 people in here. Please go ahead and say hello. All right. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight we're going to cover the history of the dime. Okay? And I'm going to show you this dime right here. And as you can see, it has Franklin Delano Roosevelt's face on it. This is a bicentennial dime. It was printed back in 1976. The word dime comes from the French word that means a tithe. And the French word dime comes from the Latin word decima. Okay? It is the smallest coin that the United States Mint produces. And that means size-wise, okay? It's not value-wise, it's size-wise, okay? This coin is even smaller than the nickel. All right. An engraver by the name of Robert Scott created one of the first dimes. A bust of Lady Liberty can be seen on the front of the dime, and a United States Eagle can be seen on the back of the coin. The design of the dime occurred a short time before the beginning of the United States Civil War. This time, Lady Liberty was seated This time, Lady Liberty was seated, and the words on the dime appeared on the back of the coin. Okay, you would have the words "one dime" on the back of the coin. These words were surrounded by a wreath. A new dime was created shortly after the San Francisco Great Earthquake of 1906. This dime featured a bust of Lady Liberty. She is wearing a Phrygian cap. And don't ask me, I don't know. I've never heard of that before. So why is this dime called a Mercury dime? Well, it had to do with the wings on the Phrygian cap, okay? And they thought that those wings represented the pagan god Mercury, okay? Printed on the reverse of this particular dime was something called a fasces. What is a fasces? The word is derived from the Latin plural word fasces, which means bundle. A fasces was a bundle of elm or birch rods tied together with a red strap. The head of the rod had an axe attached to it. The front of our current dime has a bust of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Why is that? This is because he founded an organization called the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis. This organization was renamed the March of Dimes, which you've probably heard of, by President Roosevelt. If you want to read more about the history of the dime, I have a hyperlink in the description below. All right. Actually, I have three articles I want you to read. All right. I will tell you more in a future video. By the way, you're probably seeing little boxes up on the screen. They'll take you to other videos in this video series. Thank you for watching. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight we're going to show you the history of the nickel. But before we do, I wanted to let you know that I have published 5 Kindle books, and if you're interested in reading any of them, I want you to go and leave a comment down here in the comment section below, and I will send you links to all those books so you can read them for yourself. Furthermore, if you want to popularize this video, then what I want you to do is either one, leave me a nice comment in the comment section below, or you can actually watch this video all the way through. The more watch time this video gets, the more popular it'll become. And I have this on experts, okay? Furthermore, there will be links at the end of this video. You'll see two little boxes appear, and they will take you to other videos in this video series. All right. The history of the nickel can be traced back to the Civil War. When the Civil War began, precious metals like gold and silver suddenly became scarce. The United States and the Confederacy were struggling to manufacture metal coins from rapidly depleting gold and silver. So the United States government authorized people to trade stamps for the goods that they needed. They even started printing greenbacks. Why was the gold and silver so scarce? That's because people began to hoard gold and silver. After all, no matter who won the war, gold and silver could be used to purchase whatever they needed. Everybody honored gold and silver. But the end of the Civil War didn't mean the end of the money shortage. Gold and silver were still very scarce. But there was one kind of metal that was abundant at the time, and that metal was actually nickel. So nickel is actually a metal on the periodic table. But what was going to appear on the first nickel? Well, the United States government gave Spencer Clark permission to place something on the newly created 5-cent notes. So he placed a portrait of himself on the notes. That created some controversy. That's when a man named Joseph Wharton entered the picture. He had purchased several nickel mines at the beginning of the Civil War. President Andrew Jackson authorized the use of Joseph Wharton's nickel deposits, okay, because Joseph Wharton had a lot of nickel mines, and he took that nickel and he made nickel coins. These nickel coins were made out of a combination of nickel and copper. People didn't want to hoard these coins because the metal nickel and copper were not as valuable as gold and silver. Even today, they're not nearly as valuable. The things printed on the nickel have changed over the years. There is a web article that might interest you if you want to know more about the history of the nickel, and I have included that right down here in the description below. All right, if you've reached the end of this video, you're now seeing two boxes on the screen, and they are showing you links to more of these videos, and you can watch those. All right, I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. How am I doing so far? I still got one person watching. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I am going to continue my video series on the penny. Okay, and I'm going to show you this right here. This is the bicentennial penny, and I showed this to you in my video about the quarter. But before I go into the history of the penny, I would like to tell you that I have published 5 Kindle books, and if you're interested in any of those, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will send you links to those. Furthermore, if you want to make this video really, really popular, number 1, watch it all the way through. The watch time makes this video more popular. Number 2, leave me a nice comment in the comment section below. All right? All right. So at the end of this video, you will see links to other videos in this video series. So go ahead and click those links and watch that. All right. You may think that pennies were invented in the United States, but they really weren't. The original penny was created in the kingdom of the Franks, but it was King Edgar that ordered the creation of what we now know as the penny coin. I'm going to let you, there's some web articles down here in the description of this video that I want you to read about that, okay? This is some interesting history, but we should focus on the United States penny. The first penny was called a Fugio cent. This Fugio cent was the first regular issued United States coin. You can read about the Fugio cent in the article I left down here in the description below. The first pennies were as large as modern-day half-dollar coins. Imagine a penny this size. That's a big coin. By 1857, the value of the 1-cent coins lost some of their value. And because of this, people were reluctant to carry around heavy and large, low-value coins in their pockets or purses. Okay, most of them, I believe, were made of copper. Of course, that's not the way they are today. So just before the United States Civil War, smaller pennies were minted. These coins were called Flying Eagle coins. The next pennies that were minted by the United States government had images of Native Americans on the front of the coin. It wasn't until 1909 that a bust of Abraham Lincoln was placed on the United States penny coins. But the first Abraham Lincoln coins didn't feature the Lincoln Memorial on the back of the coin. That's because the Lincoln Memorial had not been constructed yet. If you want to read the history of the Lincoln Memorial, you can check out the article, and I'll also link that in the description too. So when did the United States penny acquire the Lincoln Memorial? The first United States pennies that featured the Lincoln Memorial appeared in 1958. And you say, well, the memorial had been finished before 1958. It had, but it took them a while because of World War II and a few other things to figure out, hey, maybe we should put the Lincoln Memorial on the back of the coin. Initially, the copper penny contained 95% copper, but during World War II, that temporarily changed due to the use of copper for bullets. The pennies returned to normal until 1982 when copper prices rose sharply. Now pennies have about 2% copper. If you want to know about that, you can read the next article, okay? All right. I wish to thank you very much for watching this presentation. You can already see the boxes popping up on the screen, and they will take you to other videos in this video series. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Okay. How are we doing so far? We still got 2 people watching. We got more. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a video series showing you all the letters of the Koine Greek alphabet. Okay. Now, why would anyone want to learn Koine Greek? If you have ever read the New Testament, you would be familiar with the first and last letters of the Koine Greek alphabet, the Alpha and Omega. And the word alphabet itself is derived from the first 2 letters of the Koine Greek alphabet, which are alpha and beta. Okay. If you are a student of math, you should already be familiar with the Koine Greek letters delta, sigma, and pi. I covered in previous videos the Greek letters delta and sigma. Okay. In this video series, I'm going to show you what each letter looks like. I will start with the Koine Greek letter alpha. And let's go ahead and show you. All right. What does the Koine Greek letter A look like? Well, this is going to look familiar to you. That's the capital A. And yes, they do have now. I know you said, well, that looks more like a D than an A. Well, the line doesn't go up that far. Okay, that's the lowercase a. And that's what it looks like. Now, I'm not going to write out any words with this alphabet. Okay, I'm just showing you what the letters look like. So that when you see them on, and that is something you need to look for. If you are walking around and you see these college students with their big shirts on and they have those Greek letters on there, those are Koine Greek letters. Okay, and I'll go into further detail about that as I continue this video series. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. How are we doing, everybody? I know this is not nearly as interesting, but let's go on. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to continue my video series on Koine Greek letters with the Greek letter beta. Okay, and before I continue, I wanted to let everybody know that I have hyperlinks to all of my I've written 5 Kindle books. If you want those hyperlinks, just leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I will go ahead and send you links to those. Now, if you really want to make this video popular, you could do one of 2 things, and I have this on good authority to do this. Number 1, you can leave me a nice comment down here in the comment section below. Number 2, you can watch this video all the way through and get its watch time up, and it will make it more popular. Furthermore, if you want to see more videos in this video series, at the end of this video, you will see little boxes appear, and they will take you to other letters in this video series, okay? All right. In my last video, I stated that the Greek letter beta is the second half of the English word alphabet. This letter can also be used in mathematics. But why is Koine Greek so important? If you know the real history of the Harvard University seal, you will quickly realize the reason for the Koine Greek letters. This is why all those college kids wear all those Koine Greek letters on their sweaters. In 1636, John Harvard established the Harvard University. Well, gee, that's a genius thing. The seal had 3 books on it. The first book was the Old Testament from the Bible, and the second book was the New Testament from the Bible. Both of these books were open and right side up. The final book, although open, was upside down. Why was it upside down? It was to indicate that humans had limited reasoning and intellect, and they needed God's revelations in their lives. And I have a web article that explains this more thoroughly. You can go look that up for yourself. The link is in the description box below. Now I will show you how to properly draw the Koine Greek letter B. And how do you draw that? Well, let's get into this. This is going to look awful familiar to you. All right. Capital letter B. Only you wouldn't have this. Okay, it'd just be straight up like that. And if you want to draw the lowercase, okay, this would stick down like this. And that's your lowercase b. All right. All right. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave a comment down here in the description below. And I will tell you more in a future video. So I want to thank you very much for watching. And you can actually see the links right here on the screen. The little boxes. All right. I'll tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. All right. Woo! All right. Let's get into something that I think you'll be better at. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and the topic of tonight's video is mathematical terms and how to remember them. Now, before I continue, I wanted to let you know that I have 5 Kindle books, and if you want to read any of them, you are more than welcome to leave me a comment down here in the comment section below, and I'll send you links to those. Furthermore, if you want to make this video more popular, the first thing you do is leave me a nice comment in the comment section below. And the second thing you can do is to watch this video from beginning to end, which will cause YouTube to share it more. Okay, and I have this on good authority that this will actually work. Finally, if you want to see similar videos to this, I will have links. There'll be big boxes at the end of this video, and you can click those, you can see those, and there you go. All right. The first term I will help you remember is the addend. Okay. What is an addend? The two numbers you are adding together are called addends. So you have a 2 plus 2 equals 4. What is an addend? That is an addend. That is an addend. That's what they're called. Those are called addends. Okay. Now, how are you going to remember that? Just imagine placing bookends together. Add-in, bookends. Okay? Easy to remember. Now, when you add two numbers together, you obtain something called the sum. There's your sum right there. Now, if you want to, you can imagine the end of this equation being like a literal sun, like this. Because you get the right answer. It's pure sunshine, I can tell you that. All right. Now, you can imagine a sunbeam actually reflecting off your bookends. That'll help you remember the term. What about subtraction? Okay. Well, all right, let's have 3 minus 2 equals 1. All right. This is called a minuend. This is called a subtrahend. And this, what's it called? Well, I believe if I remember right, you have a it's a difference. Minuend, subtrahend, and a difference. Because that's the difference of these two numbers. How are you going to remember that? Well, just imagine a dinner menu, and you're going to subtract things from the dinner menu, and you'll have a completely different menu. Okay, what about multiplication? All right. We have 6 times 2 equals 12. This is a multiplier. That should be easy to remember. Now, what about this? This is a multiplicand. A multiplicand, okay? And this is a product. Okay? Now, how are you going to remember the multiplier, the multiplicand, and the product? All right. We're going to manufacture cans. We're going to manufacture multiple cans. Okay. So you have the multiplier and the multiplicand. Okay. So just imagine that you have the multiply and then add the word can to multiply, and there you go. And then the product you have at the end is the product you're producing, which is the can. Okay. What about division? All right. Now, if you know anything about the stock market, you know about divisors and dividends. Okay. The dividend is the first term in a mathematics problem. But in this example, you can't keep dividends. So you have to use a scissor-like tool called the divisor. That will leave you with a quotient. Okay? All right, and that's how you're going to remember. And I could draw it like this, but I'm going to go ahead and just do this. So let's say you have 12 divided by 6 equals 2. Well, the first term is a dividend. The second term is divisor, and there's your quotient. Okay. So far, so good. What about a fraction? The top number on a fraction is the numerator, and it is being dominated, okay, by the denominator. The denominator is the bottom number of a fraction. So you got the numerator on top, the denominator on the bottom. Okay? So the word numerator comes from the word number. That's what it is. Okay? And then you'd have the denominator, and there you go. Now, what about the mathematical symbols? Well, the plus sign itself was created as an abbreviation for the Latin word et. Okay? So, when you see the plus sign, you can imagine the T in the et plus sign. There you go. All right. What about the subtraction sign? Well, this is what they call a tilde. There's your tilde. Now, what about the letter X? You see this in multiplication all the time. A mathematical expert named John Napier created this symbol, but not everyone liked the symbol because it looked like the English letter X. So another mathematics expert by the name of Gottfried Leibniz, and I mispronounced his, I know I mispronounced his name. He started using something called the dot. Later on, this moved on to the asterisk. Okay, so that's where that moved on. What about the division symbol? Well, the division symbol is called the obolus. The origin of this word is Greek. The Greek word for obolus is obulos. This Greek word means a four-sided pointed pillar. A mathematics expert named Johann Rahn started using this symbol. And you can look all this up for yourself. Now, in higher level mathematics, you're going to see what is called a solidus, which is this. And it's not going to be that way. It's going to be a forward slash. A solidus or a forward slash symbol. And it represents division. The solidus is also known as a virgule. Okay, the word virgule comes from the Latin word virgula, which means punctuation mark. How will you remember that? Just imagine a tilting virgin trying to hold up an obolus. Okay, and there you go. Do you feel a little more educated today? I hope so. We have reached the end of this video. You're going to see a couple of links to a couple of other videos. Go ahead and check them out. I hope you do. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. How are we doing, everybody? Are we learning a lot tonight? All right, I'm going to take a break here in just a second. So I'll be back. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a video series on accounting. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the accounting terms credit and debit. But before I begin, I wanted to let everybody here know that I have written 5 Kindle books. If you're interested in any of those, go ahead and check out the links. Well, not check out the links. Leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I'll send you a link to those books, and you can go ahead and check them out. Furthermore, if you want to make this video very, very popular, then you could do one of 2 things. Either leave me a nice comment in the comment section below, or watch this video all the way to the end so you can get the watch time up, and YouTube will share it more likely, okay? At the end of this video, you will see links that will take you to similar videos in this video series. All right, I will now tell you all the things you need to know. In accounting, you often hear the terms credit and debit. But before I begin an in-depth discussion about the terms debit and credit, I will tell you the etymology of the words debit and credit. You need to know this. The word debit is a combination of the Latin prefix "de," which means away, and the Latin word "habere," which means to have. Literally, Latin word "debere" means to keep something away from someone. Now, this may sound confusing at first, but by the end of this presentation, you will fully comprehend what I'm trying to tell you. Because when you have debits and credits on you, okay, you would consider a debit something that you're holding on to, and a credit on something you would give away. But the bank doesn't see it that way, okay? The bank sees it as we're keeping your money away from you, and then if you have a credit, they're giving it back to you. And that's where it gets tricky. What is the etymology of the word credit? The Latin word creditum means something that is entrusted to somebody else. As you can see, a novice could easily confuse the word credit and debit. But I will end this confusion by showing you how to read a bank statement, because bank statements are very different than what, you know. So in your case, when you have a credit on your own end, okay, you have entrusted your money to somebody else. Okay? The money belongs to you until you give it to somebody else. So when you give your money to the bank, even though you would consider it as a debit, it really is a credit because you're actually giving it to them to entrust it to them. All right? Money's not in your house anymore. All right? Now then, when you place money into your bank, they temporarily own your asset. It's only when you come back to get it that they give it back to you. Technically, it's still your asset. So technically, you would still file it away as a debit, but you have to really think of it in a different way. You have to think of it from the bank's direction. To the bank, that would be a credit to you and a debit to them. Okay? So like I said, it's a credit to you, but it's a debit to them because the bank is keeping your money away from you. But to the bank, your money, okay. Okay, so I'm getting you all confused here, and I'm sorry. Let me clarify this for you. So What you think is a debit to you is actually a credit to them. Because you are, when you do a credit, you are entrusting the money to the bank. So what happens is, to you, your money is a debit. Because it's still your asset. To the bank, it's a credit. So, what you consider as a debit, which is money, to the bank, it's a credit. Okay? Now, when the bank gives the money back to you, you are actually getting a credit. But the bank considers that a debit. Remember, the money is yours the entire time. But the reason why the bank lists it as a credit when they get the money from you is because it's a debit to you and a credit to them. When they give the money back to you, they've entrusted it back to you. I know this is a screwy way to think of things, but you have to see things from the bank's perspective and not yours. And that is how accounting actually works. Now, here's the thing. When the bank debits your money out to somebody else, okay, it's a debit to them and a credit to the whatever. It all makes sense when you start realizing how it actually works. But it is a little confusing, and you'll have to think about this for a while before you get the whole concept. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Did I confuse you guys yet? I should have. You'll have to think this stuff through real carefully. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and I'm going to start a video series on the Universal Serial Bus. I'm going to say it again, the Universal Serious. Boy, that went well. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a video series on the Universal Serial Bus. Okay? And before I do, I wanted to let everybody know that I have written 5 Kindle books, and if you want the links to any of those Kindle books, you can go ahead and leave me a comment down here in the comment section below, and I will send you links to those books. Okay? Furthermore, if you want to make this video very, very popular, either you can leave me a nice comment in the comment section below, or you can actually watch this video all the way through, and then after that, then the watch time will go up on the video, and bam, whammo, bammo, it'll become a lot more popular. All right. So anyway, let's get into the video verbatim. All right. Before the existence of the Universal Serial Bus, you had a lot of ports on your computer. I illustrated this in my previous ISA, PCI, and LPC bus videos. But Intel and the computer community were not fond of having so many cables and ports on their computers and their boards and so on and so forth. They wanted a single style of connector on their computers. After all, at a certain point, we weren't dealing with desktops anymore. We were dealing with laptops. Try fitting all those ports on a laptop. That's fun. So as laptops became more popular than desktops, and desktops had all the necessary you got to keep in mind, all these desktops, they had all those necessary connectors, but it was filling up the back of the desktop. Okay, so it made the thing very, very bulky. The Universal Serial Bus, okay, the Universal Serial Bus was created in 1996 by the Intel Corporation. One of the people who helped create the USB technology was Mr. A.J. Bratt. He and others on his team had to create all new software so the printers, keyboards, mice, and other devices that you wanted to use on this thing could utilize this new USB technology. Now, why did so many devices require so many ports and cables? That's because all these devices ran on different power inputs and power outputs. The flow of electrons that I spoke of in previous videos varied between keyboards, mice, monitors, printers, and other devices because all these devices work differently. With USB technology, power input and output could be regulated by a single port and chipset and a simple computer program. Think about that for a second. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, there were only going to be one USB standard. That didn't last long. This is reflected in the USB-A connector. And this is a connector you're very familiar with if you've ever tried to connect your camera or your smartphone or whatever into your computer. You have the USB on there, USB-A, okay? Then the USB-B connector was designed. Now, you might not be too familiar with this, but when USB came out, this B connector was used mostly for printers, okay? They were also used to connect optical devices like external hard drives to a computer. And they were square shaped and they were not very user friendly. I can tell you that right now. The next USB connector you might see is either a USB mini or a USB micro. If you have older MP3 players, flip phones, you name it, you'll see these kind of connectors. Now, another USB connector you may be familiar with is the USB Lightning connector. This only works for Apple products because Apple is proprietary. Okay. The most recent USB connector to enter the marketplace is the USB-C connector. I'm sure you've heard of USB-C, and you've seen a lot of this. Okay. Your most advanced smartphones right now have this USB-C connector. Some of your laptops have it, so on and so forth. Many USB devices today use this connector. So what's the difference between these connectors? Obviously, their sizes are different. We can tell that off the bat. But there are other differences as well. Another difference between these connectors and cords is how much power flows through them. But the amount of power that flows through them is measured in a different way. The first USB standard for power consumption was the USB 1 standard. Before we discuss the power consumption of the USB 1, I need to introduce you to a few terms, which I will cover in future videos. The first term is the milliamp, the second is the volt, and the third is the watt. You have to know all three. I will discuss these terms in future videos, but the USB and the USB 1 and the USB 2 standards used a maximum of 500 milliamps, 5 volts, and 2.5 watts. But what about the USB mini and the USB micro? Most of them were under the USB 2 standard. Okay, so if you had a USB mini and a USB micro, they were pretty much the same as the USB 2. But what about the USB 3? Okay, this would be used with the USB-C connector. It uses a maximum of 5,000 milliamps and 5 volts. But the maximum watts that it can transmit is 4.5 watts. Is this the end of the story? If you have heard of the computer project called Thunderbolt, then you know this isn't the end of the story. In a future video, I will tell you the story of the USB Thunderbolt. So I hope you will stay tuned. Well, I see one person still in the room. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and tonight I'm going to start a review of Danica McKellar's Hot X Algebra Exposed book. Yes, I've got a copy of it right here, and I'm going to review it chapter by chapter, just like I did with Danica McKellar's Math Doesn't Suck book. But before I begin, I wanted to let everybody know that I have published 5 Kindle books. If you want to read any of them, leave me a comment down here in the comment section below, and I will be more than happy to send you a hyperlink to those books, and you can read them for yourself. Furthermore, if you want to make this video very, very popular, there are 2 things you can do. Number 1, you can leave me a nice comment in the comment section below, or you can actually watch this video all the way through to increase the watch time and cause it to be more popular. And there are links at the end of this video that will take you to other parts of this video series. So if you want to go to the next section, you can. All right. Now, I'm going to begin this review with the etymology of the word algebra. The word algebra comes from the Arabic prefix al, which is just like the English article the, and the Arabic phrase, and I'm not going to read this phrase, I'm going to actually put it as a section in the description of this video so you can read it for yourself. What does the phrase mean? In order to comprehend the meaning of this phrase, you have to know the meaning of the word compendium. The word compendium means a summary or a list of things. This word has various uses. So you have a summary of calculations. But how did you achieve this summary of calculations? You used restoration and balance to achieve this summary of calculations. If you find this definition complicated, feel free to research the topic further. Okay? All right. In the introduction of Danica McKellar's book, Hot X Algebra Exposed, she states that she never saw herself like the male geek classmates that were in her class. What a stereotype. I never saw myself like them either. You didn't see me wearing suspenders, and you certainly didn't see me with pocket protectors either. And did I have any tape on my glasses? I didn't have duct tape on them either. Doesn't Danica McKellar realize that many of these geeks found themselves unemployed due to their overconfidence in their intellect? Give me a break. You really want to aspire to be like them? Some of them succeeded, but not very many. They became so arrogant and overconfident, they kind of lost. You don't have to look like a geek to think like a geek. And that's thanks to Harry Lorayne. And I know the mere mention of that name on my channel sounds like a broken record at this stage of the game, but without mnemonics, no one can truly comprehend mathematics. It's impossible. The next thing I want to do is directly address the geeks that may be watching this video right now. Let me tell you a story. Long ago, there was this lady who saw a stray kitten on her porch. She gave the kitten a saucer of milk. The kitten came to her porch the next day, and the lady gave this kitten another saucer of milk. And she did this day after day until finally she just adopted the kitten. Well, that's a beautiful and wonderful story, and a lot of gals, a lot of young ladies and ladies just love stories like that. That's fine to a point. Okay? But what if we replace the kitten in this story with a homeless person? Is this so cute of a story now? You really want you want to adopt a homeless person? I don't think so. So if you don't want a bunch of homeless people showing up to your porch every day, I would suggest you share this video with all your friends and tutor your friends, just like I'm going to show you how to do today. And make sure that when they watch this video, they share it with their friends as well. Because you don't want a bunch of homeless people showing up at your front doorstep. And that's exactly what's going to happen if you don't listen to me. And more importantly, stop looking like geeks. Look, if you need a new pair of glasses, get a new pair of glasses. And take care of your glasses a little better, all right? Don't be doing some of the stunts you guys have been trying to do. And furthermore, no suspenders. Give me a break. Find another way, or at least hide the suspenders so nobody actually sees them. And quit with these pocket protectors, okay? Modern pens don't leak like that. And if you need a modern pen, put it in your pants pocket instead of your shirt pocket. That's what I do with mine. That's not nearly as geeky. They don't see it that way. If it leaks in your black pants pocket, it's not going to show up anywhere anyway. If you're going to wear shirts, wear darker color shirts so it don't show up so well. Okay? Look, you don't have to look like a geek, to act like a geek, to sound like a geek, or anything else. And you don't even have to sound like a geek either. It's ridiculous. You can learn as much as you want to, and you can even share what you know with all your friends, but you have to do it in a non-geeky way. Okay? And with plastic lenses, usually you don't need big, thick glasses, and you don't have to have duct tape glasses either. So, take care of your glasses a little bit better. According to Danica McKellar, this book is filled with pastries and candy. You want to give these people diabetes? You want them to be obese the rest of their lives? Maybe we should cut back on the sweets in this book. I mean, I'm as much of a fan of sweets as anybody else, but you keep that up, and they're just going to be obese and have some medical problems on top of it. So I will tell you, though, that the puppies were a nice touch. Okay? And granted, I love celebrations. But if you're going to have a celebration, you might want to bring some sunscreen, especially you're talking about a pool party. Yeah. Like I said, what are you trying to do? Wait for the geeks to show up and bring the sunscreen along with them? And I guess these young ladies will have to visit their hair salon after swimming in the pool. Think about that for a second. After all, I mean, that pool contains chlorine, and they're going to have their hair treated after that. And they might even want to treat it before they pop in the pool. Okay? I wonder if they have enough money for that. And let me ask you something. Are these ladies that you're writing about in this book, are they wearing costume jewelry or real jewelry? Okay? You might have to be a bit more responsible. You're wearing real jewelry. That stuff's expensive. As far as I'm concerned, there is no such thing as pre-algebra. I know they market that all the time. It's really just mathematics. They should have taught you in elementary school. Let me tell you something. I never took a pre-algebra class. I went straight from elementary mathematics straight into algebra. There was no need of pre-algebra anything. That's a waste of time. And after you watch a bunch of my videos, you're going to find out just how much of a waste of time that is. Okay? All right? All right. By this point, you should already know about factors, fractions, decimals, negative numbers, exponents, slope, graphing, and so much more. And I will cover these topics much more thoroughly in future videos. So stay tuned for that. Before I continue, I want to point out a couple things. The first thing I will say is you don't have to travel to an amusement park to learn algebra. Save your money and pay attention to what I say in this review. The next thing I will point out is that variables are just simple numbers cloaked in ghost sheets. Have you ever had a Halloween time where you put a sheet over you, cut some eyes out, cut a mouth out, and you were a ghost for Halloween? Same concept. Duh. What is it that I see at this amusement park that she wants us to visit? I am touring Danica McKellar's amusement park, and I've just walked past a kissing booth. Do I really want to kiss the variable in that booth? Well, since I can't see what's underneath that ghost sheet, I may be a little bit hesitant about this. Okay? And I have absolutely no intention of using emojis as representations of variables. It may be cute, but it's totally unnecessary. We want to get through this stuff quickly, not be cute. All right? We want to spend less than 20 minutes on mathematics and get on with our lives. So Danica McKellar has decided to define the word constant and coefficient. Well, I guess I'm going to have to give you the etymology of both words. The word constant is not a squishmallow. This word comes from the Latin prefix com, which means together, and the Latin word stare, which means to stand. So the constant in an equation is some number that stands together. Just imagine a group of people standing together. When you're dealing with a constant, you can imagine that you know how many people are standing together. What about the word coefficient? The prefix co comes from of course, the prefix com, which I just defined. The word efficient comes from the Latin prefix ex, which means out of, and the Latin word facere, which means to make out of. Get it? So imagine that all coefficients are factories that produce products in an efficient manner. Okay. Are we getting this so far? It would have been nice to have seen all that in Danica McKellar's book, but it's not there. I looked. Trust me. What else does Danica McKellar say in the first chapter of her book? She defines the word term. I'm not fond of her definition, so I'll give you my own definition. Just imagine that all numbers and variables on the left or right side of a plus sign, a minus sign, a multiplication sign, or division sign is a term paper. And you have to read the term paper to get a good grade. Okay? Now, so this is a mathematical term. This is a mathematical term. That's a mathematical term. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Just imagine this is a term paper, this is a term paper, and that's a term paper. Easy to remember. Let's go on. All right. Now, in this math problem, everything on this left side of the equation is going to have the same value as everything on this right side of the equation. That's why it's called an equation, okay? Because the equal sign. If you subtract 8 from 15, you'll have 7, and 7, of course, equals 7. You can think of the equal sign here as like a seesaw, or to give you a better illustration, a pair of scales. Think of the equal sign as a pair of scales. The middle of this scale is the equal sign. This is the stuff on the left of the equation. This is the stuff on the right. I'm so glad I kept this. Oh. That's why I keep stuff like this. Helps you visualize things. Now, you don't need people who project a different aura around them to solve a mathematical equation. You need a pair of scales. There you go. It's that she's making this too complicated. It's a lot of visuals, and that's good, but the visuals just really don't apply here. Okay, now, Danica McKellar is correct in saying that if you multiply the numerator and the denominator of a fraction by the same amount, okay, we multiplied the 2 by the 2, and we multiplied the 6 by the 2, that you're going to get the same value, because 4 divided by 12 is 1/3, and 2 divided by 6 is 1/3 as well. Same value. So you can multiply the numerator and the denominator of a fraction with the same number and still get the same value. That's the way it works. So I will agree with her on that. The next term I need to cover, and I need to give you the etymology of it, is the word equivalent. It comes from the Latin word equus, which means equal, and the Latin verb valere, which either means to be well or to be worth something. So equivalent numbers have self-esteem only when they are of equal value. That'd be easy to remember. Why should mathematics be afraid of anyone? And why should any of you be afraid of mathematics? No reason at all. The only reason why you should be afraid of mathematics is when people teach it to you poorly. Well, I'm teaching it to you a lot better, and you can clearly see that. So don't be afraid of mathematics. Stick with me. I'll get you through. Okay? Either you're being taught mathematics by a poor teacher, or you're being taught mathematics from a poorly written book. If you're watching this video, you're probably aware that I started a discussion of Koine Greek letters. You will see these letters as you approach the topic of calculus. So at this point, it's important to visualize variables as letters. Why? Because you're going to see a lot of Koine letters in calculus equations. All right. Now I want you to take a look at something. You're going to love this. So we have 6. Okay, 6a, which is alpha, 6 alpha, plus 7 beta, minus 5 beta, minus 3, I'm sorry, it's not 5 alpha. Let me do this again. I'll do this again so you can see it. 6 alpha plus 7 beta minus 5 alpha minus 3 beta. You're going to see equations like this in calculus. That's why you need to understand variables, because you're going to be taught Koine Greek letters, and I'm already beginning to teach you that, and you need to know them. All right. Now, if you watch my video series showing you every single Greek letter, you'll get this. As I stated below, the letters A and B are variables. This would be the letters alpha and beta. And you know that these variables are wearing costumes. These costumes are hiding the numbers wearing the costumes. But I think at this point, you know that since the letters are different, then the numbers that the variables are covering are also different. Now, at this point, you may want to add or subtract or multiply or divide the coefficients. All right? Now, we already know that 6 alpha and 5 alpha have the same variable. You can now subtract the coefficients. As long as these variables are exactly the same, you can do this. So 6 alpha, well, that's a terrible alpha. Minus 5 alpha equals just simply alpha. 6 alpha minus 5 alpha, it just equals alpha. That's all it is. Now, why can't you subtract the 6 from the 7? Or why can't you add the 6 to the 7? Or why can't you subtract the 6 from the 3? Because the variable A and the variable B are different. You just can't do that. Okay? Now, you can also have 7 beta and subtract 3 beta. And have 4 beta. And there you go. Because the variables are exactly the same, you can subtract the coefficients. But you're going to see this in calculus, and you need to know it. All right. So, what would you have as the final equation to this particular problem? Well, what you'd have is alpha plus 4 alpha plus 4 beta. Of course, since you don't know what numbers are being covered up by alpha and beta, you would never be able to solve the whole thing. Okay. Now, the next rule is very simple. If you multiply a fraction by a whole number or a variable, then you multiply the numerator by a whole number or variable. So, let's say you have this fraction right here, 2x over 5. What you do is you multiply the 2 by the x. So now you have a fraction 2x over 5. Anytime you see a coefficient like this and you see this, always multiply this by the variable, by the numerator. Multiply the coefficient by the numerator. Always. Okay? Ignore the denominator at that point. Okay, because what they're doing in essence is it's more like 2 over 1 multiplied by x over 5. So you multiply the 2x and you multiply the 5 and the 1. Okay? All right. What about the commutative property of mathematics? Remember, the etymology of the word commutative is the Latin prefix com, which of course is with or together, and the Latin word mutare, which means to change together. Think about all those science fiction movies where people are mutating into other creatures. Or you can think about commuting to your friend's house or your friend commuting to your house. Just because you travel to another house doesn't mean that you or your friend changes. It just means you're traveling to a different destination. This works well with addition and multiplication. Okay, let me illustrate this. If you add the 5 and the 2 together here, that's going to make 7. And if you add the 2 and the 5 together here, it makes 7. It doesn't matter which order those numbers are in. That'll work. It'll also work with multiplication. Okay, so if you were to shift the addition to multiplication, okay, dot here, dot there. 5 times 2 is 10, and 2 times 5 is 10. Same thing. It will not work with subtraction or division. You flip the number around like that, it won't work. What about the associative property? It works well with addition and multiplication. The etymology of the word associative comes from the Latin prefix ad, which means to or toward, and the word sociare, which means to unite with. And that's another Latin verb, okay? In this case, no matter what numbers associate with other numbers, the final answer will be the same. So let me illustrate. You could have 5 plus 3 plus 4. Okay? Now, 5 plus 3 is 8, and 8 plus 4 is 12. But if you were to add 5 plus 4, that would be 9, and plus 3 would be 12. Or if you added 3 plus 4 together, that'd be 7, and 7 plus 5 is 12. It doesn't matter in which order you add these things in, as long as it's added together like this, same answer. Multiplication, same way, but it will not work for subtraction or division. Only addition and multiplication. The distributive property should be easy to deduce. Just imagine distributing cookies to children. You want to make sure each child gets one cookie, because otherwise those kids are going to fight with each other. You don't want that. I want you to research the distributive property on your own time. It's going to be a rather lengthy video here. The next topic Danica McKellar The next topic that Danica McKellar briefly discusses is the word problems. In the not too distant future, I don't know. I lost that one. Anyway, she discusses something else. Okay. At this point, I have to pause this review because of the next topic Danica McKellar covers. She briefly brings up the topic of poor reading. Why do people read poorly? Because no one has been taught how to speed read. That's why. And one of the foundations of speed reading is storing a dictionary in your head. And it's not impossible to store a dictionary in your head if you know Harry Lorraine's memory techniques and you know mnemonics. I covered this on my YouTube channel more than once. And I have also stated more than once to never get into debt. If you follow my advice, you will never need to calculate interest rates on a credit card. You might have to calculate interest rate on somebody else's credit card, but it won't be yours. And I wonder when Danica McKellar ever read the United States Tax Code. This is a topic I may cover in future videos. Be interesting, don't you think? Then Danica McKellar mentions the word integer, but she doesn't take the time to clearly explain the math term. But of course, I will do that myself. The word integer comes from the Latin prefix in, which means not, and the Latin word tangere, which means to touch. The first thing you should notice is that the verb tangere looks very familiar. Ever heard of a mathematical term called tangent? But let's return to the math term integer. The math term integer literally means to touch not. So in this case, it means a whole complete number. At this point, you may have noticed that the integer numbers are sometimes represented by the letter Z. This is no ordinary Z. This is the Roman letter Z, but it looks really funky. It comes up like this, goes across like this, comes down with like this, and then it goes across like this. And that's approximately how it looks. Now, this represents a set of integers. It doesn't just represent one integer, but a whole set of them. This looks like a Koine Greek letter, but it's actually a Roman letter. Okay? It is actually the first letter in the German word Zahlen. The German word Zahlen means number. Okay? Why are integers represented by the letter Z? That's a question you should ask David Hilbert. He'll give you the answer. So far, my basic research has revealed that the letter Z represents a set of integers. I also discovered the letter Z comes from the Latin alphabet. I will trace down this a little bit better in a future video. The next word I need to cover, oh my gosh, I have to cover so many of them, in this review is the word consecutive. Obviously, this word has a Latin prefix, con or com, which means together. But this word also contains the Latin noun sequi, which means to follow together. The word consecutive, therefore, is some kind of a number sequence. And the topic of number sequence leads to the Koine Greek letter delta. I should have said sigma. Sorry. It leads to the Koine Greek letter sigma, which I covered in a previous video. I will concur, however, with Danica McKellar that number sequences in mathematics are represented by equations like n plus 1 or n plus 3. You've seen things like this before. And if you've dealt with the Koine Greek letter sigma, you've seen this. Finally, we get to the end of this first chapter, and she references dancers and soccer players, which in this point, I will actually agree, practice makes perfect. I agree with her on this. All right. Woo! Well, I hope you enjoyed this particular presentation. I hope that the rest of the presentations she has in this book will not be nearly as long, but we'll see. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned. Are we still hanging in there, folks? Wow. Well, folks, did I make up for the parade tonight? I hope so, because I'm starting to lose my voice. I don't think I can continue on past this. I have a lot more to cover, and I will try to do that at my earliest opportunity. But right now, I'm exhausted. I've been at this for 2 hours now, and I'm tired. Fun night. And, well, thank you, Roadrunner. I really appreciate this. I'm telling you, this is a lot of material I covered in a single night. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in and stopping in. Hang on. Let's put this to there we go. So what am I going to cover next? Well, I'm going to cover the settings thing on your smartphone. That's another thing I'll be covering. And it's a long one. Very long one. I may just do a whole live stream on this all by itself. And then I can get into some of the things I really wanted to get into tonight, but I'm so tired. I really appreciate you staying with me and watching this whole thing. It's been wonderful. I'm thrilled that you watched this whole thing. I appreciate it. I will, of course, split up this video into its individual sections. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I mean, I went to a lot of effort telling you guys all this stuff tonight. And then you guys can watch those. Like I said, I may just dedicate an entire live stream to the smartphone stuff and just let you watch all that. It's a lot of stuff I covered tonight. I really did. And I may do individual videos at some point. I may get on the air. One of the things I'm considering on doing is actually getting on the air briefly for short periods of time over the next few weeks and just doing, notes for one particular segment or another. There's so much stuff I've covered, and I need to get it done. But wow, I've covered a lot here tonight, and I think you can appreciate that. All right. Wow. If you guys don't know this yet, I have been making copies of these videos and posting them onto Rumble. That will continue. mainly because of what I discussed earlier in this video about YouTube and how they're getting us in trouble about their advertising and how they are pushing all of this community stuff. Get people to buy your books or your stuff from your merch store, or donate to your Patreon or whatever. The YouTube is really trying to press this because I have a feeling one of these days they're not going to be advertising like they were. They might advertise, but the money will just go to them and not to anyone else. That's really sad, but it could come. All right. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this tonight. It's been wonderful to be here tonight, and I appreciate it. All right. I will tell you more in a future video, so like for you to stay tuned.